I want to talk today about this idea of right effort or just how we define courage maybe and bravery. And the name of this class is Brave Moves. So I just got off this trip, of course, and it was a climbing trip. And we tend to really we had some kids that climbed really well and scurried up to the top of all the climbs and looked great. And then we had a couple kids who barely got off the ground or were afraid of heights. And we tend to give a lot of kudos to the kids that get to the top or anybody who gets to the top, right? Well, while the folks who are really scared, really, they have to bring a lot more courage, right? They really do have to bring a lot more courage. And but this idea, and you've probably even heard this from me or from another yoga teacher, that we're always going to that edge, right? We're going to go to the edge. Go to your edge. Find that edge. Um, and I think that I'm thinking this morning about the Mary Oliver poem. I think it's Wild Geese, the poem that says, "You don't have to walk on your knees for 100 miles in the desert repenting. You only you only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." But we are just quite obsessed with more or most or edges being um, this far edge, this end point. So I want to explore today a little bit. We'll have some fierceness in the practice, and we'll have some moments where I'd like you to consider touching in or being aware of the beginning of the edge. So not the end point, but the beginning of sensation. And I'll guide this a little bit more succinctly as we get into it. But really being aware and going slowly enough that you sense when sensation or when changes in your body first happens, and not just pushing right to the end and experiencing sensation there. Great. So come onto your back if you're not already there on your mat. We'll get it. We'll do a little emptying, a little before we start to fill. So you're certainly welcome to move in any way that feels comfortable for you. I'll guide a little bit here. Might feel nice to stretch everything long, reach through your legs, reach through your arms. You could take the shape of an X and begin to move through one heel and then the opposite heel. Or you could have your soles of your feet on the floor and move your knees back and forth in a soft windshield wiper motion. Don't worry too much here about making any conceptual connection. Just move in your body and see where you are today at this time. And let's take a couple minutes just to really settle into our physical bodies. And that for you might even mean stillness. And then wherever you are, do take the Shavasana shape now. So legs long or knees bent with knees resting together, that'd be fine too. But typical Shavasana posture, if that feels okay. And just let everything go. Just see if you can really let gravity do its good work here. Feel your body resting against the earth. And with each exhale, an emptying of anything that might be a limiting belief or a emotion that holds you back, like some kind of fear or resentment. And on each inhale, just pulling in your more positive feelings of gratitude and love and joy. I'm just really attempting to find some equanimity here. And then you can bring your feet back towards one another in more of a Tadasana shape. Draw your right knee into your chest. Take your hands to the front of your leg and squeeze your right knee into your chest. Keep the left leg long. And then just move through your right hip. So right hand can be on your knee as you make some circles with the knee, both directions. And then inhale to extend your leg up towards the ceiling, and exhale to pull everything back. So just some flexion and extension. You could have the angle of your leg more 45 degrees or up towards the ceiling, just working the ankle joint, the knee joint, the hip joint. And then place your sole of your right foot on the floor and draw your right knee across your body as you come onto your left hip. So you'll create an arch in your back. You can reach the right arm long and then exhale to return that back to center. So now you're just lying on your back and right knee is still bent, sole of the right foot on the floor. And inhale, draw the right knee across your midline, reach your right arm long, and then exhale back down. Just a few rounds here, feeling into your lower back, your pelvis, your shoulder a little bit. And then pull both knees into your chest. Crossing at your ankles, take the outsides of your feet and just press your low back into the floor. So basically this is Sukhasana on our back. Maybe rocking back and forth a few times, side to side, feeling into the large muscles, the muscles on the either side of your lower spine, around the kidney. Great. Then right leg long, left leg squeezes in, squeeze your knee into your chest. Feel the right leg opening in the hip flexor and the left leg is working, the hip flexor is working here. And then just take your knee around in some circles, both directions. And then same thing with the left leg. We'll just extend and flex. So working everything, ankle, knee, hip joint, just working into your legs here. And then the sole of your left foot to the floor, and you'll inhale and come up onto the right hip as you draw your left knee across your midline, reach your left arm long. You might even take your gaze over to that hand and then relax everything back to the floor. Repeat that a couple times. And then both knees into your chest again. This time you might take your forearms underneath your knees. So this is kind of an alternate to happy baby. And I'm grabbing the opposite wrist with opposite hand and really allow your low back to reach down to the floor. So long spine here. And then take your feet around in some circles. So making some circles with your feet, working in the ankles, going in both directions. Great, then you can release that and either rock yourself up to a seat or roll to one side and come on up. Great, so from here, you're gonna need your strap and your 2 blocks. And we're gonna set up in Vajrasana with the toes turned under. So I'm going to use 2 blocks for my sitting bones. And I'll show you this from a couple different angles. So I'm going to turn my toes under, so the broken toe pose, but I'm going to set my sit bones right on these 2 blocks that are side by side. So that it's not a huge amount of, we're not going to the big edge. We're just really feeling into the sensation of stretching the soles of the feet. Okay, and then you can grab your strap. And if you can set up your strap so that your thumbs are sort of pointing up and you've got the strap with your hands like so. All right, so you're pressing against the strap. And here's where the TheraBand, if you have a TheraBand and you want to work with a TheraBand, can be kind of nice because you can set it up a little tighter, or you could set up your yoga strap a little tighter, but you can push against the TheraBand. And we're going to bring the elbows beside the side body and just release your hands down to towards your thighs and then back up. So just a little movement here in the arms and pressing against the strap, pressing out against the strap. And then with the arms straight, now come up overhead and back down. Just feel into your shoulders, where you are this morning or this evening in the shoulder area. And then once you've done that a few times, just slip the belt between your wrists and your elbows and bring your arms out in front of you. Press out against the strap. So the belt is between your wrists and your elbows. Press out against the strap. And then slowly come up over your head. See if you can line your biceps up with your ears without jutting your head forward, and press out against the strap. So toes are still turned under. You might have to readjust if you lost contact with the toes. Pressing out against the strap. And then drop the tops of your shoulders down. Notice if you're over-efforting here by creating a huge arch in your low back. Can you draw your sit bones down into your block setup? And then we'll release that. And then take your strap now behind your back. And now your palms will face in. Palms face in towards your low back. And pull the strap apart as you pull your arms off your low back. Pulling the strap apart, palms are facing in. Good, and release. Set the strap over to the side. Take your blocks away and come into a child's pose. So if you can, take the big toes together and spread your knees apart and come into a wide open child's pose. Now, you might have your forehead on the floor here, or you might need a block or want a block for your forehead. Either is fine. If you do set up with a block, you'll just have to play with moving it out of the way when we get to the little vinyasa part here. And take a couple of breaths here in this child's pose. Great. And then on your next inhale, you're going to slide your hands back towards your body, and then about just out in front of you with I got a 90-degree bend in my arms. I'm going to press my hands into the mat and isometrically draw the mat towards me as I slide my body forward. Here you might want your knees together a little bit more, and you're going to go chin, chest, belly to the floor. Press into your hands and lift. And then exhale down to the floor. Then press into your hands again, back onto your knees, and drop your hips back into child's pose. So the arms are extended out. And as you come forward, it's like you're pulling the mat back to you, but your hands aren't moving anywhere. So you have your chin, chest, belly come to the floor, and then press into a cobra. And then lower yourself to the floor. So your whole body's on the floor. And then next inhale, you'll press into your arms, press up, set your hips back, child's pose. Okay, so we'll repeat that a few times. So as you inhale, lift your gaze, lift your head, press into your palms, and keep your hands where they are, but slide your body forward until you land on your belly, and then press up into the Shalabhasana variation. You have the legs together or wide, and then lower yourself to the floor. Next inhale, press yourself up through all fours and back to child's pose. Now you can do this at any speed that works for you. We'll go a few times. And see if you can find the in sync breath and movement. All right, so find breath and movement together. And the next time you land in child's pose, just stay there. Right, and then slide yourself up, forearms to the floor, so you're in a forearm table. So forearm table. Great. And then from here, press the forearms into the floor, draw your shoulder blades away and tuck your chin in. So shoulder blades draw away from each other. Protraction. You're pressing your upper back towards the ceiling, pressing firmly into your forearms. And then on your next exhale, just release that and release your belly towards the floor. Inhale, press into your forearms, draw your shoulder blades away from each other, round your back up towards the ceiling. Hold this for a couple of breaths. And on your next exhale, just relax everything down. Let the shoulder blades come together. Belly reaches towards the floor. Good. Inhale, press into your forearms. Draw your shoulder blades away from one another. Okay, pressing your back up towards the ceiling. Now turn your toes under and just lift your knees off the floor. Just your knees. And drop your knees. Exhale, let your chest reach down to the floor. You can take the tops of your feet back to the floor. So you're in the cow position with your upper body. Good. Great. Now bring your elbows to the floor and take your hands behind your head in prayer, reaching your hips back towards your heels. If your hands don't come together, you could have your hands on the side of your head or just your fingertips touching. But if you're able to get your hands to prayer, bring your hands to the back of your head, let your forehead rest on the floor, and draw your hips back towards your heels. Great. Coming forward, forearms back to the floor. So you're in a forearm tabletop. We're going to do that whole same thing, but I want you to notice where the beginning of the sensation happens for you and stop there. Rest there at the beginning of the sensation. So pressing your forearms into the floor, draw your shoulder blades away from one another. Reach your back up towards the ceiling. Drop your head. So you're kind of in a cat position. And then you can release down to the floor with your belly. Shoulder blades come together. You could even take your gaze up slightly. Press into your forearms. Draw your shoulder blades away from each other. Round your back up towards the ceiling. Turn your toes under. Lift your knees. Keep breathing here. Then drop your knees to the floor. Rock back. Come onto your elbows. Bring your hands together. Elbows might have to come in a little bit. Just find the beginning of sensation here as you stretch yourself back and just stay right at the beginning of the edge. Release your forearms back to the floor. And now you could leave your forearms parallel or interlace your hands, interlace your fingers, release the pinky finger, turn your toes under, press your hips up and come into dolphin. Squeeze your legs strongly. Press your forearms into the floor. Shoulder blades are working away from each other slightly and down. Bending through your knees, set your sit bones up towards the ceiling, then re-straighten. And just go where the beginning of the sensation is. So instead of pressing maybe all the way to the edge, find the beginning of sensation and where that might be probably in your hamstrings or your hips. Great. And then drop to your knees. Take your head to the floor. You'll take your interlaced fingers to the back of your skull, and you're going to bring your head down to the top of your head down to the floor, as if you were going to go into headstand. No weight is going to be on the head here. So you're going to really press into your forearms. So you've got your interlaced fingers at the back of the skull, or kind of, maybe the back at the top of the head, the top of your head resting on the floor. Forearms are pressing into the floor, and then start to lift your knees. And stay as long as you can. Keep weight off your head. And your arms working, your back working. And then set your knees back down, set your hips back, child's pose. Bring your arms alongside your body in Balasana and let everything go here. Just let everything go. Taking a couple more breaths. Really feel the whole back body widening and lengthening, opening in all directions. Right. Bring your hands forward and press yourself up to all fours. Hands a little forward of your shoulders, turn your toes under, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Squeeze your legs. Find nice length through your back, through your spine, and then come forward into high plank. Okay. Now, this is going to go in some phases, so find the place that works for you. Okay. I'm going to drop my heels to the left. This might be where you stay. Lifting the hips, working the obliques. Okay. I'm going to take my left hand and press firmly and bring my right hand to my left shoulder. Right hand to left shoulder. This might be where I stay. I'm going to bring my right elbow to my left elbow crease. And breathe. Press back, right hand back, high plank, downward dog. Knees to the floor, child's pose. Nice wide knees if possible. Let your whole body sink down towards the floor. Lengthen through your back, arms to your side, full Balasana before we take the second side. Reach your hands out in front, sliding your hands forward of your shoulders, turn your toes under, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Squeeze the legs. Inhale to come forward to high plank. Now we'll turn the heels to the right, lifting the hips. You could stay right here, or you could bring your left hand to your right shoulder. You could stay right here, or bring your left elbow to your right elbow crease. Stay wherever works for you to work the obliques. Breathing. And release the left hand, come back to plank, back to downward dog, forward to the knees, wide knees, come down, Balasana, resting your forehead on the floor, your arms alongside your body. Two more full breaths in this Balasana. And then reach the hands forward again, coming up to all fours. Hands are in front of the shoulders. Press up to downward facing dog. Great. From this downward facing dog, inhale the right leg up. And you're just going to sort of open like you're going to go to Wild Thing. So you bring your right leg sort of across your midline over towards the left, and then bring it back, tap your toes, open up again. So you're getting a little twist in the spine, tap your right toes, open up again. Good, and then this next time, draw your right foot all the way to the outside of your right hand. Now, if you want to be on your sticky mat, put your right foot right on the edge of your sticky mat and bring your left foot over to the left side of the sticky mat. Good. And then press yourself up in this wide crescent lunge. So the feet are on both sides of the sticky mat, both edges, and you're in this wide crescent lunge. Reach the arms up. Arms, biceps along ears if possible. And then can you play with bringing the hands together? So you're holding the lunge. Hands are together in prayer. Maybe you can bring your hands to the back of your head in a reverse prayer. Great. Release the hands. And now lean forward, step forward, draw the left leg up in a balance. So left leg is lifted. So you're standing in, I think, what we call the L balance. Great. Cross your left ankle over your right knee and fold into a figure four, resting your elbows on your left knee and in your this left sole of your foot. You can bring your hands together here, or you could have your hands on some blocks. Then slide your left leg over your right leg. So you have eagle legs. Slide your left arm underneath your right and bring your hands, back of your hands together, hugging your shoulders, or full bind eagle. Good. Slowly unwind the arms, slowly unwind the legs. Tadasana. Take a wide Tadasana. Inhale the arms up, taking opposite wrist with opposite hand, and side bend open in one direction, and side bend open in the opposite direction. Back to Tadasana. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, fold through center, hands to the floor, step or jump back, downward facing dog. Squeeze the legs. Inhale the left leg up now, and just flare open to the right, so crossing over midline, then touching the toes back down to the floor, and then lifting the leg again, sort of just reaching across your midline. You could bend the knee if you want to. Just easy opening. Good. And then the next time you sort of bring your feet down towards the floor, come forward with the left foot to the outside of your left hand. And you might have to scoot the hands over, scoot the right foot over, press yourself up into this big, wide crescent lunge. So the feet are on both sides of the mat. You're in a wide crescent lunge. Feel this lunge. Reach the arms overhead, perhaps putting the hands together. And then from here, you'll lean forward, step forward. Might take 2 steps, lift the right leg up. So you're in a balance with the right leg up. Press into the standing leg, then bring your right ankle to your left knee and fold into this figure four. Now you could have your blocks, rest your hands on your blocks here in the figure four, or you can rest your elbows, one on your right knee and one in your the right sole of your foot. The sole of your right foot. Good. From here, you're just going to slide your right leg over your left and come into eagle. Now, if you just have the legs set and you want to leave the arms out for balance, you can, or take the right arm underneath the left, squeeze or hug yourself, or bind all the way with the arms. Good. Unravel the arms, unravel the legs, come into a wide Tadasana. Take your time. Inhale, pressing the hands up. This time, the palms press towards the ceiling. And take a side bend in one direction. Inhale back to center and take a side bend in the opposite direction. Good, then come back to center, release the arms down to the side. Just coming into a wide stance Tadasana. And we're going to try that again, but a very simple, pretty simple movement, but we're going to play with that. Where is the beginning of my sensation? So sweep the arms up, interlace your fingers, press your hands towards the ceiling. Press your feet firmly into the floor and squeeze your legs. Now, as you begin to side bend, just play right where the sensation begins. Stay right there, right where the sensation begins. See if you notice maybe a different part of your body working, a different part of your body really receiving more sensation. And come back up to center. Again, squeeze the legs, press the feet firmly into the floor, and begin to side bend. And right where the sensation begins, stop right there. And come back to center. Release your hands down to your sides. You'll need a block now, and we're going to come into a revolved Trikonasana. So lining up with the long edge of your mat, right foot forward, left foot back. So you're in about a 3-foot stance. You'll want your block to be on the inside of your front leg. Inside of your front leg. Let's begin with hands on hips. And then inhale the left arm up and bend forward, reach forward. Okay. Left hand comes to the block. Right hip pulls back. And now just right here, feel sensation right here. Before we even try to twist, what is getting a good sensation? What's getting a good stretch? For me now, I'm aware of like the back calf. Great. Then very slowly, I can begin to turn my gaze to the right, twist my body to the right, and just find that beginning edge of sensation, the beginning of the edge. Stack your arms if it feels okay. And you've really recognized where the sensations begin. And then sweep your right hand back to your hip if you twisted your all the way to the right and took your arm up. So facing forward now, left hand still on the block. Bend through the front knee. Take your left foot a little wider. And then press yourself up into warrior one. So front leg is the right leg, knee is bent, you might have to open your stance. Back leg, a little bit of an angle on the back foot, so you're in the warrior one legs. Good. Bring your arms out to a T and just take a little twist to the right. Little twist to the right. Come back to center, reach the arms up. See if that little twist to the right allowed you to square your shoulders. We don't necessarily square the hips in warrior one to the front of the mat, but see if you can square your shoulders to the front of the mat. And then here, play with bringing the hands together. Play goes slowly so you feel the beginning of the sensation. Great. And then release your hands to your heart center. So you're in the warrior one legs, hands to heart center. Step forward, Wide Tadasana, arms to the side. Feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Good. And then just spin side to side, letting opposite heel lift as you move to the left, as you move to the right, let the opposite heel lift. Just an easy spinning. Good. Great. And then we'll set up for the opposite side revolved triangle. So setting your feet up, setting your block to the inside of your left leg now. Feet are about 3 feet or so. So back foot, you don't have to be on a railroad track with this one. You want the feet to be a little separated, and the back foot could be pretty straight or turned out slightly. Good. Hands to hips. Extend the right arm up and lean forward, tilt forward. And this might be where you actually stop. If it feels okay, get your right hand to the block and draw your left hip back. Draw your left hip back. This could be your spot right here. If it feels okay to continue to twist to the left. Perhaps stacking up the shoulders. Revolve Trikonasana. Notice where you might be holding tension. And can you let that tension go? Probably in the neck or the jaw. And then come back, hand to hips, both hands to hips now. Come up slowly, bend through the front knee. You might have to take the back foot out a bit and come into warrior one legs. Bring the arms out to a T and twist slightly to the left. Then come back to center and reach the arms up. See if you can square your shoulders to the front edge of your mat. And then playing with your arms here, arm position, maybe bringing the hands together. But even here, go slowly and notice where the first sensation happens. Where's the beginning of the edge for you? And if having your hands in prayer up above your head isn't your edge, maybe your edge is bringing your hands behind your head without poking the head forward. Maybe it's gazing up at your hands. Good. Then on your next inhale, you'll step forward, wide Tadasana. Same thing. A little spin. Let the opposite heel come up. Maybe the position of your arms changes and you can bend through your knees and come a little lower. Good. Then we'll come back to center and drop into a big wide squat with forearms on knees. Forearms on the thighs here, big squat. Good. So from here, you're going to exhale, take your hands to the floor and lift your hips. Inhale, come back to the squat, bring your hands to prayer. Exhale, press into your feet, lift your hips. Inhale, bend the knees, come into with the hands at prayer. Repeat that a couple of times. Good. Next time you land with your hands in prayer, maybe you want to play with bringing your hands down to the floor with the triceps on the inside of your knees and just rocking forward slightly. So brave moves. Maybe lifting one foot and the other foot. So we're in sort of the prep for crow. Keep the hips high, right? And maybe just with the triceps on the insides of the knees, this is where you need to be. Great. Maybe you can lift both feet off the floor. And then we'll come back to the deep squat, come all the way to the floor. Great. Now we're going to really play with that edge in a really simple posture. So come to a wide stance, wide legs, and fold forward. Just fold forward. Take a few breaths here. And then come back up. Come back up. And now, same thing, but begin with, make some fists and begin with your hands behind your hips. Begin with your hands behind your hips. Press your heels into the floor. Squeeze your legs. See if you can line up, see if your toes, all 10 toes can be pointing to the ceiling and your kneecaps. Feel all that strength in your legs. And then gradually come forward, hands maybe beside your hips. So really, really slow this down so you really feel where is the beginning of the sensation? And is it someplace different now that we've slowed this down considerably? So as you come forward, keep that strength in the legs, keep pressing the heels into the floor. Maybe the hands even stay behind your back. But see if you can discover the beginning of the sensation. And is it in a different place in your body? Okay, and if you want to play around with that, just sit back up and go to, when I first cued it, I just said legs wide, forward bend, right? And most of us probably felt the sensation in our back. I'm guessing, maybe not, but then go back to this really slow enter into the whole thing and see if it feels different. What is it like to play at a different place in the edge? So maybe not all the way out to the edge, but at a different place. Great. Okay, and we'll come back up and now stack the lower legs in fire log to the best of your ability. You might have to take a block under the top knee. Okay, so when we stack in fire log, we want the lower legs to be parallel to one another and parallel to, let's say, the edge of the mat. So we've got not Sukhasana, but a more open, right, open leg position, front, lower leg position. And then same thing, you can try just folding, see where that edge is for you, or you could just try going in really slowly. So hands to your hips, keeping the low back in neutral, and then just slowly coming, oh, whoa, there's the beginning of my sensation. There's the beginning of my sensation. I'm going to play right here. Or I'm going to slowly come towards my edge, slowly come towards my edge. Support yourself with any of your props. If it feels okay, and to bring the hands forward, you could bring the hands forward. And then you'll work your way back up. Of course, change the position of the legs. Opposite leg on top. Sit up nice and tall. Press your sit bones into the floor. really ground here. Even when I do that, I feel like, oh, this is the beginning of my sensation right here. And I just want the discretion. I want to build the discretion to, am I going to keep going or would I like to stay right here? So we're just learning how to really honor our bodies, be in our bodies, and have this wise discretion. So fold as per your enjoyment of sensation. Come back up, uncross the legs, come to the floor on your back. Have your block somewhat handy. Let's take the bridge position and do a couple of rolling bridges. Any variation of this that you like. We do this a lot. Just take any variation that feels nice to you right now to sort of unwind the spine. And you might want to hold a position and draw the knees away. Or slide the arms like you're making a snow angel over to the side. You could take one arm at a time and take your gaze in the opposite direction. Great. And then a couple choices here for the end. You could take a strong bridge. You could take your block underneath your sacrum and take a supported bridge. You could work your feet a little closer to your butt and take your ankles, wrap your shoulders underneath, draw your knees away, press your hips up. See if you can, if you're here in this variation, keep the knees lined up with one another, or the legs, parallel with one another, so your knees aren't splaying out to the side. So this feels great for me on the top of my legs, the thighs, the front of my legs. You could come up onto your toes, pressing using the hamstrings, really engaging, shoulders underneath. Good. At any point, take a more passive or relaxing or resting posture with a block or two underneath your sacrum. Maybe just playing, even in our total practice, playing with, am I always on my outer edge, or can I also enjoy that beginning sensation? And some options from here. If you're resting your sacrum on a block, you could take your legs up and rest in a supported shoulder stand. You might want to go to a supine pigeon and continue to stretch the outer hips, or a happy baby. But just begin to sort of wind down. You could rest in this supported shoulder stand, or take it to some wall space, or even drape your feet over the couch so your legs are lifted and your lower legs are resting on the couch or chair. Or you can come all the way down now into Shavasana. Finishing with anything, maybe the movement of your head back and forth, And even as you drop into Shavasana, notice when the beginning of the sensation happens, the beginning of maybe the letting go or the softening. When does that happen? So delighting more maybe in the process of the opening or the strengthening or the letting go, and not just the end. Rest here without any worry of what's next. Just rest here for about 2 minutes. Let your jaw be soft, your eyes roll back in their sockets. The skin on your face, just let the skin on your face drip down towards the floor. Turn up the corners of your mouth and invite a smile. Invite a word of gratitude. Stay as long as you like in your Shavasana, or you could roll to one side and take a few breaths on your side body. If you'd like to press up and join me in your seat, you can do that. Bringing your hands together in a gesture of prayer, honoring yourself for showing up to practice, honoring this group for time together, anyone who makes practice possible for you. May the merit of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance that lies within. Namaste.